So Charles has had an amazing career, starting over at, I'm probably going to get all this mixed up, but sort of a mixed anyway. At Real, running their arcade group. He was also at Wild Tangent. He is like the consummate BD guy, I would say. Screen Life, the makers of Seen It, he ran business development for them, and was a general manager of business development also for Gamehouse. When I remember him telling me he was going to leave there and go to some place that enabled you to bet online, but you could never actually get your money out of a game. And I was like, wow, what is that? And that is DoubleDown. And since going there, the company has had amazing success in the transfer and doing the partnership now with IGT. The game continues to amaze us with the revenues that it generates. And I'm sure everybody's read the recent reports and what they did on their earnings. So again, hats off to them for doing this. And so Charles today is going to talk about, he's going to be the myth buster of social casino. So take it away, Charles.
Thank you. I want to be clear about one thing from that bio, which is I never ran anything. So I was always just the BD guy in the back room. So that's what I do. So, thank you. So what they asked me to talk about today, and I'm not even sure who asked me to do this. I don't know if it was my own PR team or whether it was the Casual Connect people or who, but they said, hey, can you talk about these common myths floating around about, social casino gaming? And I said, sure, what are they? And so I had to do a little bit of research, and I talked to a lot of people, and it's funny, I'm doing a lot of business both with the casino crowd, the real casino operators, and the video game world. And they could not be more different. It's like night and day in every possible way. And when you try to put them in the same bag together, it's like putting a cat and a dog in the bag and shaking it. But they really want to be in the bag together. So I'm not going to talk about that today because I'm going to talk about myths. Again, I want to be clear about something. You guys are all a lot smarter about making games than I am. I'm just a business geek, right? I can tell you what people are talking to me about, but I don't think there's going to be anything in here today that you guys don't either know or that your intuition isn't already telling you or something else. So I'm not here to impart wisdom. Hopefully I'm just organizing it a little bit and confirming what you guys think you already know about this stuff, which is, of course, probably completely correct. So just to be clear, I'm not thinking I'm up here giving you guys earth-shaking information. But we'll dig into it and we'll see what you think. So the 5 myths of social casino games, the ones that really seem to hit my desk most often, are that they're not real games, right? A lot of video game purists are saying, hey, these aren't real games. This is just an electronic version of something else. Fine. I'm not here to weigh in on these things, but I do have an opinion, and we'll share that. The other thing is that it's super easy money. Okay, some people at our company did pretty well, but it was a lot of work, and it's the same work that you guys put into any kind of game you're making, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that. On the other hand, as much as they're the same, they are different. So there's this whole idea that if you can make a hidden object game, you can make a great poker game, you can make a great slot game. Really, what's the difference? There are some differences, and we'll talk about it. So those are sort of opposing ones there. There's also this constant idea that if you really want to get to that next level of success, it's going to be away from Facebook, right? I can share our experience with you, but again, everybody's unique, and your particular games are going to react a certain way, either whether they're on or off. But we'll talk about it. And then casino games play for any audience, right? I've even been known to say, hey, these are the most commonly known game mechanics there are. They're historical. So they appeal to everyone. But the truth is, online, people are very discerning, and how they spend their 5 minutes of entertainment, of course they do about 55 minutes of entertainment a day, but how they decide to spend that has a lot to do with the games that you build. So, social casino games aren't real games. Yes, it's the oldest genre there is, but it's new again. Reinventing it for digital isn't just taking the game and porting it. I think we all know that when you port a game from one platform to another as a straight port, you're losing something along the way. You need to enhance a game and make it as good as it can be for that particular platform. And as long as, and again, I know you guys all know this, but as long as you do that, you'll get where you want to go. The people who are successful, the ones who are out to create a slot game for that platform, okay? The people who are not being very successful, it appears right now, are the ones who are trying to create a video game slot game. There's something very pure about the mechanics of a slot game, and that industry is much older even than this industry. They've figured out how to make spinning some reels incredibly compelling. Maybe not for all of us. I'm not sure I'm a huge slot fan, to be honest. But slot games really do have a particular, call it science meets magic behind them. You've got to really figure out what that is. And if you're looking to make a video game of a slot game, you may or you may not hit it. You really have to be aiming at the slot game and then veneer everything else over that. If you want to add those things, it's funny, I was just talking about this with an old friend. If you want to add those things, the Uber game or the other experience or the broader thing, that's great. But what we're finding is that if you overdo that, you start losing your more loyal players, we'll call them, the ones who really come and stay. So you have to we're finding that you need to find the balance for your games with exactly where that metagame also fits into that and not overdo it because it seems to turn people off. Adding a little bit of a slot game into things is something entirely different. That's kind of a cool way to add chance to giving out prizes or something along those lines. But I'm talking about when you're actually creating, going out to create, for instance, a slot game. This is the same as true as poker or anything else. Social casino games don't offer the same experience as land-based casinos. Well, certainly partly true. What I was saying about you have to actually build for that platform is something you have to take into account. Our experience has been the more authentic a game is to the kinds of things that are on the floor, the better it does. Our top performing games are the games that we were able to get and leverage from IGT after our merger, so acquisition. We weren't merged, we were acquired. But those games are our top performing games. So the ones that actually are four-wager games outside of the United States, those ones do the best. The other thing is, even if you create a unique game, if you're using the same kinds of math models and things like that, it really makes a difference. So casino games aren't real games, but you have to use all the same, whether that's true or false, and regardless of your opinion, the same disciplines go in behind it, but there's definitely something unique about casino-style games as well, as far as the math and things like that. But it's the same discipline. So if you think it's not a real video game, fine. But you're going to use the same disciplines to create them. So social casino games are easy money. They are not a sure thing. If you look at the number of casino games and you look at where they are, whether it's on Facebook's, top earning charts or anything else, you'll see that not all are created the same. Just because you get into the genre and you create slot games, it doesn't mean you're immediately going to start making lots and lots of money. Obviously, that's true. And again, guys, I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That is roughly analogous to saying if you create a flinging birds game, you're going to be a top game. You're going to do really well. I don't know about Aha Pigs. I don't think that's a top game. All right? Peeved Penguins, love the title. Not performing super well. And Angry Sperm is definitely not doing as well as they had hoped it would. There's definitely something in the title, but the game itself, by the way, tried it, confusing. The other thing is, if you build these games and put them on there, no matter how good they are, this is a shout out to my marketing guys, no matter how good they are, you've got to tell people they're there, you've got to get them in the right channels, you've got to do, all the same disciplines that we've all been doing for so long in the casual gaming space. I see a lot of faces who I used to do a lot of these kinds of things with. It's the same experience over again. Hard work and diligence. Look at this list of things. This is exactly what we all do around any game, right? You have to put in just as much work. Just jumping into the genre with everybody else is no guarantee at all. So, again, nothing you don't know. But for some reason, even though people intellectualize that fact, they don't seem to be doing a great job of then responding to their own intellect and saying, all right, I need to do the marketing. I've talked to a lot of people who have said, well, we went into this genre so we wouldn't have to spend as much on marketing. I'm like, cool, all right, let me buy you another drink. So it doesn't hurt to have that first mover advantage. We were lucky. Slotomania was in there. We joined in. I don't know, depending on who you ask. I honestly don't know who was first out in the marketplace. But regardless of that, we were well ahead of any other really meaningful competition. It definitely helped. I mean, it's what launched Zynga. It's what helped us in our own little genre. So, but again, marketing, more marketing, lots of marketing, retention marketing. We're finding that players who spend a longer period of time with us, even if they leave and come back, those are our best customers. Those are the ones. So being able to hang on to a customer, again, duh. This is true of any kind of game. But you know, we're all still honing our freemium experiences, right? It's only been a few years. We're all still trying to figure it out, even though we all know exactly how it works. Just everybody's looking to cut a little bit of that corner off. I'm all for trying to do that, but every time we try to cut a corner, it doesn't help us out much. It all ends up going back to the same thing. Getting off Facebook will expand your business. You'll be huge. Once you get big enough, then you can step away from them and save yourself that 30%. It's not been our experience. We haven't really tried very hard, but that's because we're having such a great time with Facebook, and no, they did not pay me or even suggest that I say these things. But our experience with Facebook, even at the scariest moments, what was it, 1 or 2 years ago, July? Year ago, July? Whenever the hell it was. We had to go over to Facebook, 2 years ago, thank you, Luke. We had to go over to Facebook credits, and to be honest, we were losing sleep. As that date got closer and closer, we're scared out of our minds. We're like, what's going to happen? I mean, all of a sudden, people are going to have these credits, and I don't know if they're going to spend them with us, and our average purchase was pretty high, just as far as monetarily. It was big dollars was our average purchase. And the problem we were having is what happens when people start wanting to do smaller purchases, and it's going to ruin our economy, and yada, yada, yada. Our revenue went markedly up from the day that started. Didn't see it coming, didn't know how to react to it. But the one thing, and that's not to say that all Facebook changes are good ones, but it's the platform we've decided to be on, and I don't see any way for us to leave that platform behind and still do what we're doing now as far as revenue, users, access, marketing. We've really become experts, and by we I mean those guys. We've really become experts at knowing how to find our players on Facebook. If we had to go reinvent that, I think we'd be in trouble. Follow the leader is not a great business strategy. On the other hand, I'm just speaking more just about our genre. On the other hand, you know, if there's a feeding frenzy going on and you can get in it in a meaningful way, okay, maybe you'll make some money. And again, going back to this, which is getting a player is keeping a player. Again, I mean, it's the same thing that has always been true, whether it was download games or anything else, right? So our earnings really reflect this, right? We have about, what did we average last quarter? 40 cents per user per day. So our ARPDAU is about 40 cents. That's because we're able to get these players and hang on to these players, and it's a good thing because they're very expensive players to get. Again, none of this is earth-shaking, but this is what our experience was. So, you know, jumping off of Facebook and going it on our own, not a strategy. Who is the player? Look, I'm going to jump straight to the bottom of the slide. Our players are exactly the same people that we've been chasing for years and years and years. It's that 55-year-old woman in Illinois or Kentucky or wherever. It's that casual game player. And what's interesting about that is, you know, it's that casual game player, but who knew that they also were gamblers or that they enjoyed those kinds of games or anything? And that's really, I think, where things crossed over for us. Jumping back to the top, slot players are not poker players. What I mean by that is, if you have poker games and you have slot games and in one casino, you need to do a better job than just market that casino. You need to market the poker to the poker players and the slots to the slot players. And so if you're looking at the idea of a whole casino, you still have segments that you need to address very, very clearly. One of the things we found out is people who enjoy the excitement of gambling are exactly who our people are, but they're the same people, right? We know that about these are round numbers, about 85% of our players have been to a casino in the last 12 months. But I'm not quite sure what to make of that statistic because there's over 400 casinos in America, and people go to casinos a lot. So I'm not sure if that's a particularly effective one, but it's what we know. That's a bad thing. There we go. And I'm just trying to address those 5 myths. I mean, I've sort of gone back and forth. I haven't given you a really strong opinion on some of it. But those seem to be the areas that we get a lot of questions about. Speaking of questions, anyone? Please.
The age demographic, 85% of your players want to casino. What percentage of them are over the age of 18?
Of ours? Almost 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of talk in the market right now about responsible gaming and being part of an actual regulated company. We take that very seriously, a lot more seriously than other video game companies, for instance, would need to take it. One of the great things we find is that we're just not remotely attractive to kids. We're self-gating, as it were. So, anyone else? Well, it goes back to a little bit of what I was talking about. I'm embarrassed because my head of marketing is sitting in the room, and I'm going to probably screw this up. But we do, well, when we're launching new games, we want people to know that we're launching a new title. And so we definitely market those. The other thing is, as I said, if we're looking for poker players, we're going to market poker. If we're looking for slot players, we're going to market the slot specifically. If you say, come to the casino, it's not a very precise message. Yeah.
A lot of people say that slots is primarily money. But then I hear from a lot of people that a lot of men play slots. What's your point of view on that? You mentioned that in there. Is there a place for men who guys walking slots?
Yeah, we definitely have males playing slots, and it's a meaningful percentage at that. Just like you had men downloading casual games, 5 years ago. But it was definitely more a female thing. It's extremely analogous. On the other hand, there are more male-oriented things, especially when you start getting over into mobile. So I've long maintained that video poker is the slots for guys, right? But guys definitely do play slots, but they're much more likely to play video poker than, say, a woman is. So again, that's why the targeted marketing as well, right? Marketing poker to a bunch of women isn't going to be as effective as marketing slots to them. Yeah.
What countries do you guys currently operate in that legalize gambling, online gambling? And what percentage of your revenue does that make up?
I can't answer the percentage of our revenue question, except in the roundest of evasive answers. We operate, for instance, we operate in the UK, we operate in Italy. Well, I mean, DoubleDown Casino is anywhere Facebook is, which is basically everywhere but China. And we even do get some business out of China, and how that's happening, I don't know. But because slots are strictly forbidden, even social slots are strictly forbidden there. We do very well in the UK. There's some legalized gambling in Australia. We do very well there. We've only been localized for a short period of time, so that's why I'm addressing more the English speaking. But we're in Italy, we're in Spain, we're in a lot of these countries, and we do very well. What percentage? I think I'm out of time. What percentage? I can't speak to. I'm sorry.
One more question. What's your opinion on when the U.S. will legalize online gambling?
I have colleagues in the room from other companies. That's a conversation for a beer. I don't know where we are with that right now exactly. I mean, I know they're pushing for it. You mean the federal government? Okay. The federal government, I think it's imminent, but I think they're going to wait and see how some of the states implement it before anybody will take that jump. I'm going to say 1 to 3 years. Well, New Jersey's legal, Delaware's legal, and Nevada are legal. New Jersey's looking to implement really, really quickly. We've got about 50% of the floors there, IGT does. I think and again, personal opinion, I'm not speaking for my company. I think that the federal government will eventually do it, but I don't think they're feeling a huge rush right now. It would be beneficial, certainly, for my parent company. Just because it would clarify a lot of things, it would standardize a lot of things. Because right now the states are all doing things different.
Is DoubleDown going to go into the real money gaming?
Is DoubleDown going to go into real money gaming? You know what? We work for a company that does it already, so I would argue we're already there. Is there going to be a DoubleDown app? I can't speak to that, and that's not it's coming or anything like that. I mean, I can't speak to that. You know, one of those things. Tell me when. If I had it to do all over again, if the choice were actually mine, yeah, I would do it exactly the way we did it. There's definitely an affinity. There's definitely an affinity for the idea that I only play slots, but I really like the idea that there's other stuff here for me as well, should I ever choose to play it. We get that anecdotally from all of our people. That was it, guys. Thank you very much.